Hey spice lovers, it's the Lazy Scientist, and today I'm letting you into my test kitchen. So this is going to be my new setup to show you some recipes and also kind of help you out with any requests you have. So today I'm starting off with a request that I had on TikTok, which is for making some chili jam. Now I love making chili jam, it's absolutely wonderful, goes with loads of things, which is brilliant. But I've got at the moment some ricotos that I grew this year. They're also called manzano sometimes as well, or the gringo killer, funnily enough. They're about 100,000 to 250,000 Scovilles, so they've got a fairly decent amount of heat, but they kind of, to me, taste like apples. They're beautiful kind of bell pepper flavour, but with a bang of heat. So I think they'll be absolutely wonderful for making jam with. Okay, so I'm going to start off is I've got a few things ready today. I've got my sugar here. Now this is actually jam sugar, so it's got some pectin in it because there isn't any pectin in chilies. So what that means is that they won't bind and it won't kind of go stiff, it will just be very liquidy. I've got a tiny little bit of mashed up ginger and garlic, and then I've also got some cider vinegar. And these beauties are my ricotos. Absolutely gorgeous. I had to freeze them because I went away for a little while, but we're going to go with them anyway. It won't make any difference to this recipe. Right, first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to blend up our ricotos and everything to a nice paste, and then we're going to get it into our pan here, heat it up, get it boiling. So first things first, let's have a look at these ricotos. Now these are really interesting actually. The first time I grew these, I was really surprised because they have black seeds, which is really unusual, but very kind of normal with some of these Peruvian chilies that you get, the manzanos, the amarillos, those sorts of things. And yeah, absolutely wonderful. And the great thing about them is they seem to grow really well in the UK. They're quite water and drought, and then also heat and cold tolerant because obviously they're from Peru, which is wonderful. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, now I'm looking for about 360 grams, so I'm going to de-seed these as we go and just take some of those big seeds out because they're really big and they'll end up being a little bit gritty. Now I am actually going to do something a little bit kind of crazy with them. I'm going to add some back in at the end to kind of speckle through the jam because it looks really cool. So yeah, let's just spend some time. Let's cut these up. That is all of the ricotos. We've cut them up. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my blender and I'm going to put them in there, and we're just going to blend them to a nice paste to begin with. Well, that's going. Let's add in a little bit of garlic and a tiny little bit of ginger as well, because I always like putting these in. Probably a 1-to-1 mix and about half a teaspoon. And then also going to put in about 90 ml of cider vinegar. Now you can use any kind of vinegar you like. You could use citrus fruits if you like, so lemon juice works really well as well. Brilliant. That looks like that is done. There's still some little bits in there, which is absolutely fine. I quite like a few little bits in there, to be honest with you. It kind of adds to it. Off. I'm going to put this straight into a pan. Make sure you get as much of it as possible. So, super juicy. And the next thing we're going to do is I have got 650 grams of sugar. As I said, this is, get that in there. This is jam sugar, so it's got a little bit of pectin in there. Pectin's present in various fruits, but it tends to also be in tomatoes and things like that. And what this pectin does is it helps everything bind together. So I'm just going to give that a bit of a stir. And then I'm very slowly going to heat it. Now I did mention that I was going to put some seeds back in here. I'm doing this because I think that having a few little black spots in there looks really cool when it's in the jar. So let's put some of those in now. Now this has been boiling nicely for about 10 minutes. Be really careful when you start it off because it may tend to boil over, so you've got to keep a bit of an eye on it, keep stirring it, perhaps turning the heat down. And then after about 5 minutes, it will start to get to a lovely rolling boil. Now, quick tip, what I've done is I've put this in the fridge. So I'm going to use this to test how set my jam is. So I'm going to get some of my jam. I'm just going to put a couple of bits on there, and I'm just going to leave that for a few seconds and see how quickly it kind of goes hard, basically, because you want it like a jam. You don't want it to be a chili sauce. You don't want it to be really liquidy. You want it to have a little bit of kind of thickness to it that makes it solid so you can spread it over things. So let's have a little look. Okay, so you can see already it's starting to slide, it's starting to thicken up. We'll give that another couple of seconds. Now, what I need to say is, it doesn't matter if it doesn't go thick straight away. That's not a problem at all, because all I'm going to do is I'm going to put this back on and maybe boil it for another 2 minutes, and then try it again. It's pretty good. I reckon we can go for another 2 minutes. So let's turn this back on. Get it back to boil. We'll give it another 2 minutes of boiling. And then we'll try again. I must say though, this is a beautiful colour. Absolutely beautiful colour. Now, this has had about 13 minutes. I've got another cold spoon, and let's get a little bit here. Dribble it on, and just leave that for a minute or so to have a look and see if it's set. Now, already I can see that this is a much better set. It's barely coming off the spoon. You can see it's not moving at all, and that means it's set nice and thick. So that means it's going to be lovely to then spread on your whatever you want it to, really. I love it with cheese. But let's have a little look here. So as you can see, barely moving. It's set nicely on the cold spoon, and I'd say that that is ready to put into our sanitised jam jars. Okay, I've got 2 jam jars here. You can see what they fill them up, so make sure they're sanitised. You can either sanitise them using a non-rinse sanitizer, or you can heat them up in your oven. Have a Google how to do that. And what I've got here is also a jam jar funnel as well, just makes life a little bit easier. So I'm going to take this and get it straight in. Now do be careful, because this is still hot and we don't want any burns. Lovely. Let's do the second one. A little bit less in there, but that's absolutely fine. And then we're going to get our lids, put them on nice and tight, and leave them to one side just to cool down and then set. Okay, so remember they've got to cool down before they set.